get this show on the road.
Hey guys, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks. And now it's December, I'm going to be trying to release videos every single day in the run-up to the new year. Kind of like an advent calendar of content. And boy have I got a treat for you today. We are going to be checking out the FV215b 183 before it was nerfed. This replay is 4 years old. I wonder if Karstas is still even playing World of Tanks. If you are, please give me a shout in the comments below. This is opening up some kind of time capsule as to what this tank used to be like. Now the FV215b 183, that tier 10 British turreted tank destroyer, came out in, what was it, June 2013 with patch 8.4, and for a whole year this tank had crazy powerful HESH rounds, the premium rounds on this vehicle. Now, I'm not saying the rounds aren't powerful now, but they used to be way better. Look at the penetration, 275 millimeters of penetration with 1,750 alpha damage. Now, when this vehicle first went into the game, I predicted that Wargaming would either reduce the penetration or they would reduce the alpha damage. I thought that maybe they'd reduce the alpha damage to 1,500, or they're going to reduce the penetration down to about the levels which they actually ended up doing it. But it took them a whole year of the FV215b 183 being just like this. So that's the upper plate of an ST1. Not sure if that quite hit the side of the turret there, but yeah, got him indeed. 1,900 damage to start things off, and wow. Do you guys reminisce about those old gun sounds? And another thing that's really cool about this replay is that we're playing on a map that time has forgot now, one of the lost maps of World of Tanks. This is Severogorsk, and Severogorsk was removed because I just think that Wargaming tried to fix it. You're actually looking at one of the original versions of Severogorsk here, which had this real big high mound, and it just created this campy location here, and then people would try and make their way over there, and just there was no progression on this map at all. And yeah, that went through the upper plate actually, but it failed to penetrate. So even the 275 millimeters of penetration, unable to go through the upper plate there of the 75. 660 damage, however, that's not too bad. That's like still getting hit by a rather meaty artillery. Now that artillery isn't even meaty anymore, then it's really just these kind of gigantic HESH rounds off tanks like this, and also off the Type 5 Heavy, that are doing those crazy damage rolls. So Severogorsk was removed from the game in patch 9.5, but it entered the game in patch 8.7, and that was in July 2013. Now the FV215b 183 kind of lasted with these, oh yeah, that's an IS-8, which is actually now called a T10, and got you indeed. That was 1,038 damage, so not quite a gigantic one-shot there. Looks like he took a bit of damage before the HESH round was able to enter the top of the tank. Now, the rounds on the FV215b 183 lasted in this current state for about a year, and it was in patch 9.2 that the HESH penetration was nerfed from 275 down to 230, and that was in July 2014, so it literally was over an entire year that the tank was in this current state. Now, of course, if you nerf the penetration of your high explosive rounds, that means that they're going to penetrate thickly armored targets much less. And to be honest, in the couple of shots that you've seen, or the 3 shots you've seen during this replay, the 2 that have penetrated the tanks, well, I think they would have penetrated anyway with 230 millimeters of penetration. That one looked like that went through the upper hull of the E75 at some kind of crazy angle. 1,684 damage there. Absolutely crazy stuff. And one of the reasons why these rounds are just so darn good is because, of course, high explosive rounds don't lose penetration over long range, but all of the other non-special high explosive rounds in the game, they're kind of having about 60 millimeters of penetration, some of the British tanks up to about 100, and the fact that this one had 275, that's kind of like a premium round on some vehicles these days, especially on your tier 9 and tier 8 tanks. So Karstas mounts over, and this is where things just get a little bit horrible. Oh dear, 1,905. That is a high roll, just shy of one-shotting that tier 9 German heavy tank. Now, one thing that was also arguably better, but also nerfed about the FV215b 183, or should I say better or worse? Did I say nerfed instead of worse? Oh dear. And that is the fact that this tank used to be faster than it is now. Back in the day, there was no FV4005 Stage 2, and so there was no competition for the tank with regards to mobility. And so this tank used to be much more lightly armoured and much more mobile, but I have to stop for just a second. Look at this shell. That's the front of the turret of the E100. There is practically no way that a HESH shell in the Nerfed 230mm state would have been able to do that. And so that's something that would have only been possible back in the day. 1,909 damage, 9,000 damage now in the first 5 minutes of the game. What a result here for Karstas. But yeah, the FV215b 183, it had better tank traverse, it had better better tank traverse, it also had better ground resistances. Everything about the mobility of the vehicle was superior. Yeah, I'm not even commentating about the 1,767 damage that Karstas did there. Absolutely crazy stuff. The mobility of the vehicle was nerfed in patch 9.5, and that was on the 22nd of December 2014 when they put in the FV4005 Stage 2. Oh, the C100, well, it's not exciting anymore. He doesn't have enough hit points to even justify that mammoth premium round entering his vehicle. 3 kills now, 11,212 damage in the first 6 minutes of the game. Karstas is pretty much going at about 2,000 damage a minute here. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to keep that up, but we'll have to see. And just take a look at what Severogorsk used to be like. Everybody, just this position that he's in was completely overpowered. Absolutely ridiculously overpowered. Oh, 1,062, nothing to write home about, but still, Jagdpanzer E100 demolished. Karstas now has 2 high explosive rounds left, and after that he's going to have to deal with the armor-piercing round. And there's an ST1, looks like the ST1's using the stock turret. Karstas' rate of fire isn't quite good enough to be able to find it, or maybe he's going to go forwards. I tell you what, while he's just doing this, let's just zoom out and have a quick fly around Severogorsk as he finishes off the ST1. Gone, there you go, good stuff. Just take a look at what this map used to be like. There has a corridor down here, a corridor down the center, and a corridor down the other flank, the eastern flank. Or is that the west? That's the west part of the map, actually. And this whole area for a while was raised up. In fact, the map was leveled in patch 9.0, and Karstas' replay here is from 8.10, or is it 8.11? One of the two. And so this was just before the whole of this mound was leveled. And when this mound got leveled, the map certainly wasn't quite as good for a... Oh, God. That was a HESH round going right through the front of the upper plate, I believe, there, of the IS-7. Fair enough, he was aiming down on him. But there's one cool thing I just noticed. Oh, the IS-7 machine gun used to be on top of the tank like that. Look, this is before the HD modding. I think the IS-7 looked better back then. So now Karstas has fired 11 of the 12 rounds that this tank can carry, up to 13,745 damage, and he's got 1 armor-piercing round left. But the Object 268 has enough hit points. 1,243. He's going to have to roll extra high if he wants to finish off the last tank with the last remaining shell. Oh, Karstas, it looks like it certainly was your day, because you didn't roll quite high enough, but you set the 268 on fire to be able to finish it off and finish just shy of 15,000 damage, which is still to this day one of, if not the highest damage games in World of Tanks history if you omit all of the results where the other team completely disconnected. And just before we go and take a look at the post-game stats, I want to show you a pretty cool Easter egg about Severogorsk, and that is that inside this garage, it's not Santa Claus. It is a Sturm Tiger. Can you believe it? They've actually modeled one in World of Tanks. Still hasn't gone into the game yet as a premium vehicle. I had the pleasure of seeing one of these towards the end of last year in Russia. And also there's a virtual reality experience where you can check out one in the Tank Museum, which is definitely worth a look. So this replay was indeed from patch 8.10 on the 22nd of January 2014. Karstas gets a Faiden's medal for killing the final remaining tank with the final shell in his vehicle, a sniper medal that's no longer still in the game, for dealing at least 1,000 damage while still maintaining an 85% accuracy. And that's unfortunate. Karstas is 12 short of a magical 15k total, 1,810 base experience points, and spends 90,000 credits on ammunition, but because of all of those penetrations still makes 34,000 credits profit, with a premium account of course. So ladies and gentlemen, that was the FV215b 183 in its original form on a since removed map. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down and let me know why in the comments. And if you want to see other videos in my Before It Was Nerfed series, then click that more info icon in the top right hand corner of your screen. You can see the Foch 155 and also the KV when it used to be at tier 5 with the KV2 turret. And finally, it's your last chance to get my Bish Bash Bosh t-shirt if you want to have the IS-3 in time for Christmas, and I'll never sell it again after Monday. And thank you very much for supporting my content. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.